I'll give like a little one-line sort of intro to people who don't know me. I'm Dr. Aaliya Yaqub. I'm a board certified internist. I'm based here in Silicon Valley. I'm also a mom of four, and I'm super nerdy. I'm really into startups, and I'm the medical founder of a few different healthcare startups, and I am an active angel investor and advisor to healthcare startups and also to female founded companies. Yeah, I think just like many others, I decided pretty young that I was really interested in science and I wanted to help people. And so I thought medicine was a great career option. My father's also a physician. And so he obviously played a role in being a role model for me. And I just went through, sort of the steps. And I thought, hey, when I finish my medical training, I'm going to work in a clinic or in a hospital and have a normal job and help people and have great relationships with my patients. And what actually ended up happening is after my training, I realized that, hey, I'm in Silicon Valley and there's a lot of innovation here happening. And if I'm not part of it, then I will feel like I've missed out. And so I started getting involved in the startup community here and learning more about innovation. And it kind of took a life of its own. And, I started becoming more and more interested in how people were building software and services and products that were going to make healthcare better. And so headed in that direction. And now I'm fully, deeply in it. So it's been fun. Up until about 3 years ago, I was a full-time physician, and I mostly did concierge medicine. So I had a panel of patients to whom I was available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I was always accessible to them, and I made a conscious decision to always stay practicing. So I never wanted to give up my clinical skills. But a few years ago, it became apparent to me that my passion was really in building services and products that were going to make people's lives better. And so when I first was, fully clinical after training, I started networking with, entrepreneurs, people who were starting companies, people who had interesting ideas. And I started learning about what types of innovation was happening, whether that was biotech, pharma, startups, digital health, or consumer healthcare related wellness products and whatnot. So I would say for anybody else who's interested in venturing out into innovation, I would start with networking. And then I just started offering, sort of my expertise in healthcare as a physician for free. So I was a consultant to startups. I started spending more time with them, learning about what they were building, and helping them solve problems on the ground where they needed medical expertise. And then soon people were knocking at my door and trying to get me to work on projects with them. And then finally, I took the leap and left my job, my clinical job, and started a company with a few guys out of Uber and Google. And we started Forward, which is a modern doctor's office powered by AI. We're in a bunch of urban centers now. And while I was there, I was essentially their chief medical officer and medical founder. And I still practiced. I still had a panel of patients, but that was sort of the trajectory of my career. And then after Forward, I became a more active advisor and angel investor. I think, doing the whole startup thing and being fully immersed in it and being sort of a medical founder for the first time was very both, scary and challenging, but it was a very, quick learning curve. And I feel like when you immerse yourself in a new environment and you take a big risk or take a leap of faith, you kind of have to be mentally prepared to learn new things and just put yourself out there. And so that's what I felt like I was doing. And, I was working 80 hours a week, building software and hardware and working with engineers. And that was totally sort of a new experience for me. I mean, not the working 80 hours a week part of it, but more, working with an interdisciplinary team, trying to solve problems and trying to build product. That was new and it was exciting. And so I would say, it was a difficult transition, but also an easy one because it was really fun. And anytime that I feel like I face a career transition, I am um, sort of the type of person who likes to embrace it with open arms and just be, you know, open-minded, excited, and put my best foot forward to learn as much as I possibly can. There are a couple qualities that I see in successful founders around me as well. I think the first is focus. So people who are really focused on solving a particular problem, and are committed to that, and they're very passionate about that. Like they wake up in the middle of the night thinking about it. Like they're excited to work on that. That's sort of a quality of a really good founder. The other is knowing that you should surround yourself with people who are smarter than you because you don't have all the answers, and being open to learning new things, I think are all really important. And then lastly is like work ethic, just having a really good, strong work ethic and being very disciplined about how you approach things and being organized and tackling things, whether that's your Google Calendar, task list, priorities, but being very organized about how you're building your business, I think will all serve you well, in terms of qualities. I like to, hire people who are mission driven. So their passions and their excitement aligns really well with the company's goals and what the company is building and what the company's mission is. I feel like those are the people that end up doing really well and performing really well and growing really well personally in the role. People who are organized, who are friendly, who want to learn and who want to be better, who are motivated, um, and have a really good work ethic, I think are people who thrive in any job, but especially in a startup position where we have this saying, that cream rises to the top. So even if you enter at like the most entry level job at a company, if you're really good, you will rise to the top naturally because you're really good and because you'll ask for feedback and you'll do the things that it takes, to sort of grow personally and to grow in your role. And ultimately, before you know it, you'll be a manager and have a team under you and you'll keep rising the ranks. And so I really do believe that. I think that if you're humble and you work hard, and you work smart, then you will rise to the top of whatever you're doing. Actually been really interesting. I mean, COVID-19 has been very devastating to a lot of industries. Telemedicine in particular is an industry that is absolutely thriving during the pandemic because we all need healthcare, and now we're leaning more on technology, and we're willing to do virtual visits more. The regulations around that are a little bit more lax. And I think the future of medicine in particular is digital health and telemedicine. So much of it is going to happen remotely. And so my companies are doing really well because of that. I'm an investor in a mental health company. It's called Modern Health. That's doing well. I'm the medical director of a diabetes clinic that's all telemedicine focused. And that's doing well because people aren't going to see their doctor in person as much anymore. And I have another company called Simple Health Kit where we're developing a rapid screening test for STDs. And so all of these things sort of are signs of sort of a COVID sort of 19 inclusive future. I don't know. I mean, healthcare, I think, is for the most part doing well during the pandemic. I think, there's a shift in the work economy for sure. I think people are excited about remote positions, working from home. I think there's a lot more opportunity in terms of the types of positions that are available and that will be available going forward now that we've all experienced this whole working from home sort of situation and it's normal. So I think there are definitely pluses and minuses to the pandemic and how it's impacting the industries that I'm in, for sure. Really great question. I think that telemedicine is not going to take over the role of physicians and nurses necessarily. There will always be the need for in-person care. But I think what telemedicine really enables is less touch points where there don't need to be touch points. So if you can get things done remotely, those things should be done remotely. It shouldn't require you to take time out of your day to be on the phone, or to go in person to pick up something, or to talk to somebody when you can actually do that remotely. So I think telemedicine just makes medical care and healthcare more efficient. I don't think it replaces in-person visits, but it does cut down on all of the inefficiencies, I think, that are in the system right now. And for routine follow-up visits where you just need to hop on a video call with your doctor, I think it makes that a lot easier, and it really, reduces uh, time wasted both on the doctor's part and on your part as a consumer of the healthcare system, where you're not going to be waiting in a waiting room when you don't have to, and you're not wasting your time and canceling meetings or skipping school for doctor's visits when you don't have to. So I don't think telemedicine is going to replace humans. I do think further down the line, AI, and in some ways right now too, AI is making doctors smarter. So AI is helping power better diagnoses and better clinical decisions, but it's not really replacing humans. And I don't think we're anywhere near that point yet. But maybe like 50 years from now, we will be. Well, I would say before starting a company and before becoming an entrepreneur, make sure that you not only have a really good idea, but an idea that you can execute on. And I would say do a lot of diligence before you jump into it. Make sure that there aren't competitors in the space who are already, doing the same thing that you're hoping to do. Make sure that you have an angle that makes sense, and then understand that when you start a company, it is a crazy commitment time wise. And so if you're up for that and you feel really passionately about it, for sure go for it. But I don't think it's for everyone. I think there are certain people who do well being part of a mission, and then there are other people who do well being the ones who start the mission and who guide the mission, so to speak. So, it all depends on your personality, and don't just do it because you feel like, oh, everyone's starting something, and so I should do it too. Make sure that it's the right thing for you. So I'm a very private person, so it's actually really strange for me to have a social media platform. I would say, like, I don't think my friends growing up would have said that, this introverted person, me, would be somebody to put myself out there on social media. I started my public Instagram account back in 2016. I was rolling out a skincare consultation service at Forward, which is the startup, the modern doctor's office powered by AI startup. And I was realizing that my patients were unclear about how they should take care of their skin. What are the steps in your skincare routine, and what should you be doing and what should you not be doing? And people were just generally confused. And so I started it to educate people about how to take care of their skin. And my goal was to educate both men and women and just help them figure out which products were right and what the steps were and how to do all of that. And at the time, the whole Korean skincare thing was like a huge trend. And people were like really confused by like, I need to do these 10 or 12 steps and what are the order? And I was telling people, no, actually based on the science, you only need like 3 steps to have really great skin. And then it kind of snowballed into this weird thing where people became really interested in me and what my story was and who am I and how do I live my life. And so it kind of morphed from skincare to a little bit more about me and what I do and what my family is like. And so there definitely is a huge element of lifestyle to it. But I would say my social media presence is really there to provide value to people. So I think about, if I post something that I learn, is this helpful to other people? And so I like to share things that I personally think are helpful or valuable in an effort to educate other people on various topics. And so it has ended up being a little bit of skincare and beauty, and a bunch of other things, whether that's current events or things that I think people should know about health and wellness or life. And so, yeah, it's kind of interesting because there are always questions about privacy and how much do you share and what do you share, and I think we all struggle with that. Everyone who's on social media has a personality, and that's their personality, who they are. Everyone's different, and I think all of us have our strengths, and our weaknesses, and I think one of the beauties of social media is that you see hopefully real people. Like, for me, I am not perfect. I have everyone, the same struggles as everyone else, and so I try to show that and try to be really open and honest and authentic about what life is really like, as a mom of four, for instance, or with just things that we experience on a day-to-day basis. So I think just showing the real aspect of like who we are, what our struggles are, in addition to our highlights reel and all of the positives and amazing things about our lives, I think gives a more balanced view. And so I try to do that. I hope that's what distinguishes me, is that I'm real, and um, I don't just want to put branded content out there. I just try to be a little bit more raw than that. So, yeah, I appreciate everybody who has followed me on the platform from the beginning, and those who are newer followers. And I think it's just really fun. It's really awesome for me to be able to connect with people who are in high school or college or grad school, or who are starting off their careers, and even people who are more experienced than me. I mean, I met so many people through social media who I never would have met otherwise, and it's really incredible and enriching to meet people like that. One of the greatest obligations that I think I have is to provide scientifically sound information when I'm sharing information that is related to healthcare and wellness. And I try to be very evidence based as much as possible. Um, and I definitely try to censor like personal opinions as much as possible. I think right now with the political climate, it's a little bit hard, because I definitely am a bleeding heart. I care about so many causes and so many things that I think society needs to change, and reform and move away from and move toward and whatnot. So I try to keep it real when it comes to political stuff. I'm also trying to minimize some of that because I think it can be really heavy for people who follow me, and also for myself. And I would love for my account to be just more educational and fun. But I do feel a responsibility sometimes to educate people about the issues that I really do care about a lot, whether that's like climate change or human rights, or Black Lives Matter, or I mean, there's just so many I could rattle off right now. So I try to sprinkle that in there. But when it comes to the science, I try to be evidence-based as much as possible and share things that are really steeped in science, because that's really important to me. There's a lot of pseudoscience and a lot of false claims out there on social media, whether that's people encouraging others to drink celery juice because of some miraculous weight loss benefits, or, just complete, you know, pseudoscience related to vaccines. I think the medical community, myself and my colleagues, we all feel very passionately about delivering real science to people, and letting them have access to that.